Hi there, traders. This is Brad Gilbert with the FX Market Insight for Monday, the 18th of May. All right, now just taking a quick look at the weekend news. Not a lot of fresh news, right? There's still the barbs between the US and China. I think we're going to see this escalate as Trump really pushes China into a corner, and I'm sure they'll retaliate with some trade issues of their own. Now, it's a little bit of a shame, obviously, with everything coming out of coronavirus and that's still working out. This extra layer of geopolitical tension is going to make things a little bit tricky. At the same time, if it's clear and there is a breakdown between the US and China, then we may see a couple of pairs, particularly the Aussie Kiwi, for instance, as real trading opportunities, and maybe the yen comes back into play. Now, there's plenty going on, right? So a lot of the news is going to focus around what we've been talking about for the last week or so is the rollback of the lockdowns. By the end of the week, are we going to start to see a increase in virus infections, or has that sort of all dissipated? And you know what? We're going to see a bigger opening of the economies, and that's going to create demand. It's going to create a lot of other things. It should get the central banks, I would say, a little bit concerned. If everything does come back online, then they've got a lot of stimulus out there that probably needs to be pulled back at some stage. But that's they're probably not worried about that just at the moment. A bit of news here about Japan. I wouldn't worry about too much about any of the Japanese numbers, right? They've been crap for 30 years. So as much as the media tries to jump on board and says, you know, Japanese GDP shrinks 3.4%, well, you know what? It hasn't probably grown in 30 odd years anyway. So don't get sucked into the wrong news. And that's pretty much it. You know, patchwork restart for New York. We're going to see a lot of weird news. The media is going to be following the story very closely around what's going on out there with the virus. Is it increasing or not? They'd love to get their hands on some fresh material. Equity markets closing Friday, okay, pretty neutral, right? This is a very subdued market. I would think the rest of the markets, equity markets, you can see the Japanese market here opening up just a little bit up, very much like New York. I don't see any change here. And I don't see any considerable change in the currencies. Just looking at the G7, okay, a little bit of a mixed bag there. So there's no sort of real uniformity across the currencies. If anything, the dollar index closed the week above that recent resistance line. That's going to give it a bit of a strong footing. Now, I still think if there's an increase in infections, then the US dollar rallies. Okay, it's a bit of a safe haven. If there's no increases in viruses and everything starts to open up more, I think we'll see the dollar fall back. But we'll have to just wait and see how that plays out. Now, just having a look at the charts, the Aussie, well, it's sort of just breaking down through the support line here, but it's done it several times here over the last week. To me, this is a pair that's just trading sideways, so I'm not getting overly excited on that. The Kiwi and Sterling, to me, are the two pairs that you should be focusing on, or the crosses relating to those pairs. Aussie pretty much sideways, as is Euro. Dollar CAD, a little bit of topside pressure, but you know what? Oil's back above $30. It's got to put a bit of downside pressure on dollar CAD, and you can see dollar yen there just minding its own business, trading sideways. So that's pretty much where we left last week. Now, if I bring you back across to the Forex Daily Market Insight, okay, trading conditions, well, Mondays are notoriously sort of thin. Okay, Europe and North America are on holidays, or on the weekend, I should say. And there's no sort of real momentum in the market. Market drivers, well, there's no changes there, no surprises. The active pairs, well, still, I know it's a Monday, but Sterling and Kiwi are the two pairs that, to me, are trending, okay, across a few different time zones, time frames, I should say. Analyst picks today, well, there's, to me, Monday is normally a day off, right? Unless there's some very clear trading opportunities. What we're waiting for is momentum to come back into the market, and also good trade setups. Now, we need the market time to factor in the various news events over the weekend. I know there hasn't been many, and that's why the currencies aren't moving. The watch list pairs, well, these are the pairs waiting for something to happen to get some clear direction. The good thing is, with all the watch list pairs, the pen's gone a bit skew-if there, they all do have pretty good support and resistance. So they are in the game. We just don't have clear direction on those pairs yet. Now, to get yourself prepared, have a look through this week's economic data releases, right? Central bank releases, etc. Now, these are starting to come back into play a little bit. It's sporadic. It's a little bit hit and miss, but make sure you keep up to speed with what's coming on. There's plenty of releases coming out. We've got Powell testifying and also speaking later in the week. We've got CPI out of the UK, Eurozone, and Canada. The new Bank of England Governor Bailey, Andrew Bailey, speaking. And then you come down through the later in the week, we've got a few other, well, we've got FOMC minutes, the RBA governor speaking, the jobless numbers. Then we get into some retail sales figures, and we'll see how bad they are for New Zealand and the UK. Actually, New Zealand's been holding up quite well. And that's pretty much it. So there's plenty of important things coming out. They aren't exactly on the end of the traders' sort of trade execution at the moment, but just keep an eye on them. They could come back into play. And as I said, focus on, to me, to start the week, Kiwi and sterling are the two pairs which have clear direction. That doesn't mean you can't get on a trade. That if there's some news that pushes these things up, well, then that's going to be an opportunity as well. So I don't think it's just to the downside. The downside, going with the trend, is your friend, but there could be opportunities as we go through the week. All right, guys, that's it from me. Have a good trade week. Cheerio.